everyone, and welcome back to Ways of the World, a brief global history with sources. As we start our study of Chapter 9, The Worlds of Islam, Afro-Eurasian Connections, 600 to 1450. All right, so let's look at this image of the Hajj. The pilgrimage to Mecca, known as the Hajj, has long been a central religious ritual in Islamic practice. It embodies the cosmopolitan character of Islam as pilgrims from all over the world, the vast Islamic realm specifically, assemble in the city where the faith was born. This painting, dating to 1237, shows a group of joyful pilgrims led by a band on their way to Mecca. What clues does this image provide about the Islamic practice of pilgrimage? Well, this image tells us that Islamic pilgrimage was a joyful affair that brought together people from different social classes, ethnicities, and geographical regions, as evidenced by the horses and camels. And as the image dates to 1237, it also demonstrates that pilgrimages dated at least to that year, although we know they occurred historically earlier. All right, the birth of a new religion is where we're going to start, the homeland of Islam. So unlike most religious or cultural traditions, Islam emerged from a marginal region. The Arabian Peninsula is the home of nomadic Arabs called Bedouins. They were fiercely independent clans and tribes that were constantly in warfare and conflict with each other, and they worshipped a variety of gods. Arabia also had sedentary and agricultural areas. Arabia lay on an important east-west trade routes. Mecca became an important trade center. The Kaaba was the most prominent religious shrine, and the Quraysh tribe controlled local trade and pilgrimages. And Arabia was on the edge of the Byzantine and Sassanid empires. So Arabs knew some practices of these empires, specifically the concept of monotheism under Judaism, Christianity, and Zoroastrianism, and that spread among the Arabs. So look, Arabia at the time of Muhammad, so located adjacent to the Byzantine and Persian empires, the eastern coast of Arabia was the site of a major trade route between the Indian Ocean and the Mediterranean Sea. So how does this map help explain why Mecca was an important Arabian city? And how does it provide context for the growth of Islam? Well, Mecca is centrally located on the Arabian Peninsula and not very far from the major trading route along the Red Sea. Moreover, the region was surrounded in the 7th century by empires that embraced monotheistic religions. Christianity in Byzantium and Axum, and Zoroastrianism in the Sassanid Empire, meaning that the idea of a singular God was well established in this region. The messenger and the message. So the prophet of Islam was Muhammad ibn Abdullah, 570 to 632 CE. He was orphaned at a young age, but became a prosperous merchant thanks to his marriage to Khadijah. He took to withdrawal and meditation, thus beginning revelations from Allah in 610 CE. These revelations were recorded in the Quran, and when heard in its original Arabic, believed to convey the presence of the divine. Thus developed some radically new teachings. Monotheistic, Muhammad as the quote-unquote, the seal of the prophets, return to old, pure religion of Abraham, and the central tenet, submission to Allah. Muslim means one who submits. And also the need to create a new society of social justice, equality, and care for others, like the Ummah. Now, the core message is summarized in the 5 pillars of Islam. The first pillar is a simple profession. There is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is the messenger of God. We pray 5 times a day at prescribed times, facing Mecca. A generous giving to help the community and the needy. Fasting during the month of Ramadan. And the pilgrimage to Mecca, known as the Hajj. And that's the image we saw earlier. Lastly, there's jihad, or struggle, which is sometimes called the 6th pillar. There's the greater jihad, which is a personal spiritual striving, and the lesser jihad, which is the jihad of the sword, armed struggle against unbelief and those that are considered evil. And also the understanding of the concept of how it's varied widely over time. All right, Muslims, Jews, and Christians. The close relationship of the three Middle Eastern monotheistic traditions is illustrated in this 15th century Persian painting, which portrays Muhammad leading Moses, Abraham, Jesus, and other prophets in prayer. The fire surrounding the prophet's head represents his religious fervor, and the painting reflects the Islamic belief that the revelations granted to Muhammad built on and completed those earlier given to Jews and Christians. So how does this image reflect cross-cultural interactions? This image depicts Muhammad leading the prophets of the other monotheistic faiths of the region, Judaism and Christianity, in prayer, demonstrating not only familiarity with these other religions, but the belief that Islam was the culmination of them, not their replacement. The transformation of Arabia. So Muhammad attracted a small following, aroused opposition from the Meccan elites, and in 622 he emigrated to Yathrib or Medina, and this is known as a hijra. So created an Islamic community known as the Ummah in Medina, and they broke definitively from Judaism. There's a rapid expansion throughout Arabia. Military successes led to alliances, thus the diffusion of Islam, and the consolidation of Islamic control throughout Arabia by the time of Muhammad's death in 632. And there's fundamental differences between births of Islam and Christianity. Islam did not grow up as a persecuted minority religion, and Islam didn't separate quote-unquote church and state. All right, Islamic scholars at work. As the Ummah, or the community of all believers, grew and developed, mosques and their libraries became a focus for the faithful's study of Islam. And in this 12th century miniature, scholars are listening intently to the figure reading from a book, while numerous texts lie stacked on shelves in the background. With a written text as the core of their religion, Muslims were a quote-unquote people of the book. So explain how this image is evidence of patriarchy in the Muslim world. Well, through Islam, nominally offered more opportunities to women. This image of Islamic scholars, all of them men from the 12th century, demonstrates that the world of Islamic learning was a predominantly or exclusively male activity at the time. And that concludes our study of the birth of a new religion, and I will see you guys next time.